Look, the bottom line is this. This plan puts us on a path to beating the virus. This plan gives those families who are struggling the most the help and the breathing room they need to get through this moment. This plan gives small businesses in this country a fighting chance to survive. And one more thing, this plan is historic. Taken all together, this plan is going to make it possible to cut child poverty in half. Let me say it again. It's significant, historic.
All right, good morning. Today is Monday, March 8th. Let's take a look at what's going on. So it seems that we passed our bill over the weekend. The Senate passed a 1.9 trillion relief bill, and I believe it's heading to the final vote in the House, and this gives a small boost in jobless benefits. Enhanced unemployment insurance at $300 a week, and this is going to end in September 6th. However, this just comes in right maybe a week before the unemployment benefits end in March 14th. So just in the nick of time, huh? Now the first $10,200 are tax-free or the households making less than $150,000. Biden still has to sign this, but expects the checks to go out later this month. And from what we saw on the last stimulus, it took about a week to see direct deposits and about 2 to 4 weeks to see the checks in the mail. Now, some of this money is intended to be spent over time, so we shall see the effects of this, for example, in schools over time. So this is a pretty tight vote. The Senate approved the package along party lines, 50 to 49, after delivering all of Friday into Saturday morning. Yeah, they were up over 24 hours there. The package now heads back to the House, like we said. And now this is going to give us the $1,400 direct payments to all of us, and that qualify. And that's in addition to the $600 we got in December, bring up to a total of $2,000 as Biden promised. That's pretty good. And as Biden said, this is a giant step forward. And here's our Bernie Sanders without the mittens. Now, the Senate blocked an amendment for the Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. All 50 Republicans and 8 Democrats opposed Mr. Sanders' amendments, and the impact of the new exemption on unemployment benefits would vary by person. Some with relatively low incomes overall wouldn't get much of the benefit, but a middle income person would save more than $1,000. So let's see how this plays out. The market seems to be responding pretty positively. So let's take a look. Starting off with SPX, still closed. So as we stated on the weekly recap, we were meeting up with this cross right here. So let's take a look and see how this plays out. On SPY, we are trading slightly up. However, we're still underneath the pivot, so keep an eye on that. Failure to get above the 10 simple and 21, not good. Still a downtrend technically. So let's see us put a higher low and hold this pivot line so we can see these targets met. But for now, we are trading below, right above the 50 moving average on a daily. But let's wait and see what happens there. The weekly is showing a bit of promise, even though we are trading with a negative strength. And this candle has a lower shadow, meaning the wick is bigger than the body, or the upper shadow. We are trading above the 10 simple on the weekly, so that's pretty good. As long as we can get another close on the weekly basis above the 10 simple, we have a pretty good shot of meeting the upper targets. Otherwise, we'll be looking for 21 exponential on the downside. We are testing the bearish control zone here, so let's see what happens this week. Currently in pre-market, we're trading at $381.55. Moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still remaining within this bound, so we are trading sideways here. Let's see this 52.7 area hold, basically a red box. If it can hold, then we'd be looking for lower targets somewhere around this yellow box. Let me extend that. Somewhere around this yellow box down to DS1. S1's the most extreme case, but likely around the the lower 40,000s. Trading on the futures, the CME futures, we're still within the bounds here. We're hitting resistance and we got smacked down pretty much. How much is that? We got smacked down about $2,000 overnight. That's nothing to bat an eye for Bitcoin lately. Let's take a look at Tesla. Let's see Tesla on the daily. All right, well, Tesla on the daily is looking like we could get a potential bounce. However, I would like to see the 200 exponential being hit. Let's see the 24 hours so we can get more data. Seems like we're holding the S2. That seems okay, but I need to see a couple more days up here. Yep, the strength is starting to tick up a little bit, maybe. No, we need one more tick. So maybe 1 or 2 days, and then we'll see if we can get across above the base here, which would be good because then we can make a pivot. Full disclosure, I did take a call on Friday, and I'm still holding my shorts. Let's look at Facebook. Facebook's still trading within a range. We're trading at 261.40 on Apple. So Facebook, not much to update. Apple, we're trading at 119.70. And it looks like we're still within the outside bounds of this trend line. So let's keep an eye on this too. We need to get above the 10 simple in order to test the pivot on the daily and potential bounce again within the bounds, creating this bear trap potential and giving us targets higher. AMD 77.20, still beneath the 200 exponential on the daily, not good. Google, no comment. As long as you stay above the 10 simple, good. Looking okay. On NVIDIA, we were looking for a bounce. If we can stay above the 200 exponential on the daily, so it's a pretty good way of managing your risk here. Not financial advice. I'd be looking for this red box to hit and eventually coming down to the yellow box. If we come down to the yellow box, I think it'd be a good scalp, but this is looking a little bit like distribution with a pretty nasty bull trap up here. Walmart, we are looking for more upside right now, trading at a nickel higher than on Friday's close. So let's see us get above the 377 and 10 exponential, but I think we may get a slight rejection here and then hopefully we'll hold to create a higher low. And the last but not least, as you guys can probably see the weekly recap, so I'm not going to bore you guys. We are pumping on the DXY, which is the US dollar currency index. Why is this important? So first target. So over the weekend, we were stating that we want to see this green box get hit, which is coinciding with the 200 exponential on the daily. If we take a look at the monthly, oh, that's a 12-month. We can see that we are crossing up with some pretty significant strength and the base getting far, the active getting far away from the base. So we marked our pivot right here, right there, around that candle. So 200 exponential on the daily is coinciding with the 10 simple and 377, similar to the play we saw before. On one of the stocks, which I think was Tesla. We can go back, but this seems to be some pretty heavy resistance coming up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get rejected here for a bit of a higher low and then continuation. So the monthly cross, we're only on the 8th of the month. So we do have plenty of time to reject and reverse the signal. But the strength here is giving me promise. Looking at the weekly, I'm getting above the bands here. So we can see a few more weeks above the bands before we can see some retracements or consolidation. But this area right here seems to be a pretty good resistance for a pullback, so you can get a breather. On the daily, the reason why this is significant is everything pretty much trades, excuse me, everything pretty much trades against the dollar currency. If you think about it, for in particular, cryptocurrencies, BTC, USD, you're trading Bitcoin against the US dollar. So think of it as a ratio. If Bitcoin is less value, or rather, if the US dollar, so you have Bitcoin on top, and then you have a ratio with US dollar in the bottom. If the US dollar is more of value than Bitcoin, meaning the denominator is greater than the numerator, that means then the overall ratio is going to be lower because you're dividing it, which means Bitcoin could probably see more downside. So if we keep pumping up here, we can see either consolidation or a little bit more downside. So pretty much trading sideways. However, if we look at what the DXY typically means or shows us as a heads up, is fears in the market. So when you own an asset like stock, let's say Tesla, and you have fears of what's going on, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's worldwide or world economics or anything like that, or black swan event like the virus was, then you tend to, some people tend to pull out of the markets, which means you go into cash. So what does that mean? It means your currency becomes stronger as opposed to the asset that's being traded against. So what this is showing us is that there is fear in the markets right now with and everything that's going on. So this is important to watch. Same with treasury yields or M2 balances, things like that. So let's keep an eye on this and revisit it tomorrow. And let's see if we can hit that 200 exponential today and then reverse, giving us a pretty good idea of when the market could potentially give us a bit of a bounce. And we'll take it from there. So one day at a time, guys. Trade safe. Enjoy your week. Happy Monday. Let's get some money. And we'll see you next one.